I've had some questions come in recently about what is a person supposed to do during their time off when they're on a job search. Now, the obvious answer to the question is you're supposed to be networking and talking to lots of people to try to find a job. But what happens if you don't want to do that right now? What happens if you want to take a little bit of time off? So recently, my husband has been dropping not so subtle hints about how he wants to take 3 or 4 months and take our boat and go to the Bahamas and just drop off the grid. Well, I don't want to do that. But is it embarrassing to say that just a tiny portion of the back of my mind would love to take some time off from work and just go explore some islands? I mean, doesn't that sound awesome? I don't know that everyone is in a position to do that. I actually don't know that I'm in a position to do that. I guess that the first thing we have to do when you're contemplating such a thing is to check with your financial advisor. But assuming that everything falls into place the way that you want, if you're laid off and you don't want to go back to work right away, there's probably something else that your heart is directing you to do. What is that? That would be really an interesting thing to explore. And so I thought of two things that I wanted to bring up today. One is to do some volunteering in your community. There are a million problems to solve in the world today. Many of those problems are right here at home, in your state, in your community, in your province, in your hometown. Some of them might be farther afield, and that's fine too. But if something is tugging at your heartstrings and you feel like you want to take some time to get involved to solve some problems, then I say you should do it. The other thing, in fact, I think that it's important that you demonstrate to your family and to yourself that you have the wherewithal to follow through on your dream. The second thing, is to take a sabbatical. Now, a sabbatical is time away from work. Sometimes you arrange them with your own company and you go back to the same job. Other times you create your own sabbatical in a way that makes sense for you. Involve your whole family. Go explore something that makes sense, that gets you involved in your community, in the world, travel, whatever it is. There has to be something very special that will make you feel like you're doing something worthwhile. Once you make a decision to do one of these two things, don't be afraid to tell people. This is nothing to be embarrassed about. In fact, being laid off is not embarrassing at all, or it shouldn't be. So I was doing some research on people taking sabbaticals. I'm going to be talking about that a lot this year because I think it's fascinating. And like I've said earlier, it's kind of pulling at my heartstrings right now too. Here's how one person described her sabbatical. This is from her LinkedIn profile in her About section. She says, taking a year off to adventure with my family off-road and in the mountains. I'm leaning into my passion for mid-century modern vintage collections and learning what my loved ones are into these days. Isn't that awesome? I'm actually kind of a little jealous. I just think that's amazing. But you don't have to be laid off or unemployed or underemployed to take these steps. You just have to know what you want and you have to make a decision. COVID-19 in 2020 and 21 has created an opportunity to do that at a time when it's far more understandable that people should take a time off and take their family and go somewhere, go away. So don't miss this opportunity to scratch that itch and figure out what way you can contribute to your community and grow at the same time. If you're more interested in this, I encourage you to check out the Interview Doctor's free job search training. In this training, we talk a lot about knowing what you want. It is step one in any kind of job search anyway. So I encourage you to check out, the link should be below in the description section. This is Katherine Burik standing by, thinking more about how to scratch an itch.